Hi, and welcome back to our channel.
Inspired the Game. My name is Sean.
And I'm Lola. And today we bring to you ISS Vanguard. This is a special game to us. We just received it from our Kickstarter pledge just a couple of days ago, and we got in our first game. Just last night, we played the tutorial, and today we played our actual first mission. So ISS Vanguard is a beast of a game. The premise of it, so it's an adventure campaign style game. The premise of it is they found out what all of the extraneous DNA in our cells, what it means. So all that junk DNA that scientists say, what is this? This doesn't code for anything. We don't know. This means nothing. Well, it meant something. And what it was were coordinates to a location far away in a far-flung reaches of the universe. And we are pursuing and following that using technology that we developed along with ancient alien technology we discovered in Siberia. This here is a Planetopedia. The Planetopedia is a repository of all the places that you're going to visit on your missions with ISS Vanguard. So you open up to the very first page, and here we have the tutorial page, the Eye of the Void. This is what starts your story out. On these places, as you'll progress, you'll put additional little cards that tell you to do new things. This is where your whole planetary campaign happens. As you progress, there's additional ones, and I'm going to go over quick with these because I don't want to spoil anything, but you can see each new page has new beautiful scenery. You're on different worlds. You're exploring new things. I go faster and faster. Don't look too close. Close your eyes, but it just is beautiful. I love the art. It's absolutely amazing as you explore all these amazing, wonderful worlds.
So the game itself plays in a couple of phases. There's a planetary exploration phase. That's fun to say. And then there's ship management, which sounds kind of dry, but it kind of isn't. Okay, the ship management phase all takes place inside this ship book. So in the ship book, it steps you through everything from resuming from a saved game to right here from the very beginning, what happens on the bridge, what is your objective, what's your current tech level, star map, so navigation to the next place you want to go to, doing things inside the ship facilities from the research laboratory, to the production complex where you can make new equipment, new landers. You move into the barracks where you can hire more crew, the situation room where you can handle the actual situations that are coming up in the day-to-day operation of the ship. Then you're into the hangar where are your landers, and now we're into mission launch and beginning the planetary exploration. And at that point, you would go off to the planetary exploration in the Planetopedia. And when you come back, it talks about what are you going to do as you leave the planet? What are you going to do as you're docking? Debriefing, what you're doing with your crew after the mission. Unloading your lander and all the discoveries that you just picked up and what's happening with those. And if anybody gets sick, they're going to go into the med bay where hopefully, they will be moving along and recovering. And then finally, if they don't recover, they go into the memorial wall where everybody remembers them. And then how to save your game at that point so you can continue on for another day. So the tutorial starts you right off into a planetary exploration. And at the end of that, you've got what you need to go into your first management phase. So the phases itself, planetary exploration, is just 4 people, 2 actions in a turn, exploring, rolling dice, and just trying to gather and survive. The tutorial is nicer to you because you can only ever get wounded once, and you can't get any further than that, so you can't die. And at the end of the tutorial, that wound is gone anyway because it was just a scratch.
Yeah. So we played the tutorial last night, and it took us probably about 2 hours to go through, and it was beautiful, and it was nice, and it was just a nice, easy experience because, as Sean mentioned, so we each got wounded, but it was just a scratch. It didn't matter, and once you have one, you can't get any more because it's just running you through the process so you understand how to play the game. Also, a big factor is as we use our dice to accomplish things on the world that we're on, we can just rest and we replenish them and get them back.
Right.
But here's the rub. Now we get into the actual campaign, we get into the actual game, and things are not so easy. Now, if you get an injury, you can get another, and your third one, you're on the verge of death, and your characters can die. There's even a memorial wall where they can go. In addition to that, as you use your dice, and you start only with 5, or after we finished our tutorial, we had 6 dice per character, but as you use them, and an average roll usually is 2, maybe 3 dice that you use. In order to get them back through a rest action, you have to use supplies. You only start with 4, and you got 4 characters. So coming off of the tutorial, which was a nice, light, fun experience, we're heading into our first game, and all I could think of is, oh my God, how are we going to do this? How are we going to accomplish this? Within the very first round, I had my first injury, and I don't want to lose my character. I like her. At least not this quickly. It's the first game, and trying to manage those dice and trying to figure out how not to, how not to use all the supplies is, I thought, would be really, really, really tricky. And I just didn't know what to expect going into that first game. So that first game today took us about 3.5 hours or so to do, with that included kind of setup and working through. We're new to the game, and there really is a lot to it, but it actually worked out a little bit better than I expected. So with my confusion about how these dice would work, and don't get me wrong, it was hard. But it wasn't impossible, and it felt like it was going to be impossible, and it turned out not to be, and we accomplished what we needed to do. And we did get a little bit injured, but we're now safely ensconced in the med bay recovering, and nobody died, so it was a success.
Yeah, it's the toughest part, or the most strategic part of it, is that you're told in a space you have to do a dice check. Well, what does that mean? Most games will tell you, do a dice check, here's your target number, here's the dice you're going to roll. Here, you've got a certain number of available dice. In the tutorial, you had 5 different colored dice. They tell you right on the die which is the most likely roll. They have little brackets on the sides that tell you that this die is most likely going to roll this way, and there's more of this element or symbol on this die, so you have an idea of, if I'm looking for that symbol, I'm going to take that die. So you're not using too many of them at once. Well, I only really need to roll that one if I can get that symbol, and then I'm only spending that one die, and then I've still got 4 more. But if you want to increase your odds, maybe you want to roll more dice, but that means you're spending more dice, and then when it comes time to do another dice check, you've only got 1 or 2 dice left. And how you can get those dice out of your spent pool? Well, now you have to rest. Well, that costs supplies. And if you run out of supplies, then you can't rest anymore. And now you have to do what they call exertion. And you have to actually sacrifice one of your dice and put it back in the box. So you'll have it next game that you run. And if you get down to 3, you can't do that anymore. And then you just start getting exhaustion wounds, and it just could it could snowball until, you are critically wounded by the time you get back to the ship, and you have a possibility of dying and joining that memorial wall. But hey, that gives a bonus to the rest of the living crew. Thanks for your sacrifice.
At least there's that.
Rest assured.
Well, and there's, between each of your movements as well, as you move through different locations, there's danger dice to roll, and you have events. Every single one of our characters, when you take a turn at the end, you trigger an event, and that event can have dire consequence. It could it could result with you getting in another injury. And remember, like 3 and you're like practically dead. It could require you to remove from this game one of those dice too. So now you have your pool even less lessened just from that, without even that part. This game is tense. It is intense, and I think that's one thing that so far I'm liking about it. One thing to keep in mind: this game is how many hours?
In total, the campaign, they say it's 20 20 to 40 hours, I think.
See,
Not exactly sure.
yeah, considering it took us like 3 hours for the first one, I think it's like, I thought 40 hours, but yeah, I don't recall exactly. But it's considered that that's the length of the game, and essentially you're playing it in small segments that happen in different worlds and different parts of the universe, the solar system. Not this solar system, another one. Um, just to be clear.
Just to be clear.
But it really captures the intensity that would like you'd likely be experiencing going to these foreign places and exposed to these drastic dangers, because sometimes accidents happen. Like I had an event where my suit had a puncture, and
Mhm.
it was not a good effect, and I had to deal with that. And you never know what's going to happen. Are you going to have an accident? So there's a lot of luck that comes into play, and if you're a horrible dice roller like me, then you wind up having less of a happy experience potentially. But then when you do roll really well, it has that exciting feeling that you get from accomplishing something that you had no clue if you were going to. Yeah.
It's been a lot of fun to explore, and we're looking forward to a lot more exploration. And
Mhm.
wow.
And we do plan on doing more videos. So this one is intended to be just an introduction to the game. So it's a long game. We essentially played the first chapter, the tutorial in the first chapter, and we wanted to give you our impressions on it. This game currently is accepting late pledges on GameFound. So if it does sound something interesting to you, we'll have the information down below, and you can check that out if you want to explore it. I love the theme of it.
Mhm.
It's really exciting. As you go through it, you uncover new areas. You can cover, for whatever world you're on, different locations. You're gathering specimens and
Mhm.
really working through some kind of a mystery as to who called you out here? What is this civilization? What are they doing? What other things exist out here in this world? And so far, it's pretty exciting, the story that they're putting together. And that's kind of my favorite thing about it, because regardless of outcomes, it's an experience. It's like playing a story out
Mhm.
where we control the outcomes based on our choices for better or for worse. So I think we're having a good time with this so far. Yeah.
Absolutely, and we're looking forward to getting more research projects and getting those taken care of, and production queues throughout there, so we can get more and better and neater elements and different ships and um, equipment and all sorts of fun, wonderful stuff that'll make things easier as the game gets tougher.
There's lots of components to it. We also can upgrade our characters by ranking up and getting more dice and getting more equipment. So there really is a lot going on. So if you're interested, follow along. Make sure to subscribe to our channel and click that notifications button so that you find out when our next videos are up and about.
Mhm.
So thank you for joining us today on our exploration into the frontiers of space.